During the PlayStation 2 era, there were the three big platformers: Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and Sly Cooper. Growing up, I adored all three of these series, but when it came to choosing the best of the best, there was one series that stood head and shoulders above the rest, and that was Sly Cooper. While the other two series are both excellent in their own rights, they didn't appeal to me as much. Sly, on the other hand, really drew me into its world thanks to its amazing sense of style and gameplay. It also helped that the Sly trilogy kept a consistent through line, with a clear beginning, middle and end, which neither Jak and Daxter nor Ratchet and Clank were able to execute so expertly. This series is very special to me, and I find myself returning to it year after year. So what makes the Sly series so special? Let's find out.
Juice! Who's got the juice?
Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus was released in 2002 for the PlayStation 2. The PAL version was released in early 2000 and had the name changed to Sly Raccoon because... This is another of those name changes that doesn't seem to have any reason to it. Developed by Sucker Punch, their initial concept for the game was to create an action title where the main character was a thief. The choice of a raccoon was a natural fit, and the franchise eventually turned into what we see today. The game, along with its two sequels, were remastered by Sanzaru Games as part of the Sly HD collection on the PlayStation 3 and Vita in 2010. This is the version I will be playing through for this retrospective, which is not ideal as it does have a few issues that were not present in the PlayStation 2 version, but I'll get more into that very soon. It's 4:20 AM Paris, France, as we see a silhouetted figure jumping and sneaking their way across the rooftops of the city. But actually, it isn't a silhouette, is it? You can clearly see that this is our main character Sly. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to play the original PS2 release. This is what the opening scene is supposed to look like, but Sanzaru Games managed to screw it up by overlighting Sly and ruining the reveal. Now, I did play through this game on the PS2, but unfortunately, my PS2 has seen a bit of wear and tear, and the cables get a bit loose. Using my engineering skills, I did duct tape the plug at the back to mitigate the flickering in the footage, but it didn't really work. I didn't want to give you all seizures, so we'll be playing through the HD collection. Okay, rant over for now. Sly finally lands atop the roof of the police headquarters, where we seamlessly transition into the game's title screen. This game achieves something very few games do. It includes the title screen straight into the game. When you begin a new game, you will start where Sly is standing on the title screen. This is a fantastic effect, and it's a shame that not more games implement it. Most games are like, here's a dull title screen, pick the option you want and move on. Of course, this effect is lost when loading into a save, but first impressions are crucial, and Sly delivers. But why exactly are we here at 4 AM? The reason Sly is here is to steal his Interpol file. With the assistance of his accomplice and friend Bentley, we know that it has been held in a safe at the police headquarters. This level serves as a brief tutorial and helps the player become familiar with Sly's moveset. Sly is a 3D platformer, containing a number of the genre's typical gameplay features. He can jump, double jump, and uses cane to attack. A unique mechanic to this game is the various skills Sly will be learning throughout his journey that can be performed when you see these blue sparkles. These are called stealth auras and are context-sensitive actions that can be performed with the circle button. The circle button is essentially do everything button. The auras are found everywhere and help to lead a player through the levels. Since Sly is a relatively young thief, he doesn't know many thieving abilities just yet, so for now we will only be able to shimmy across narrow ledges. Breaking open the vent and avoiding the lasers, we make it into the station and Bentley directs us to Carmelita's office. Bentley contacts us with the code to open the safe. When input correctly, the safe opens and Sly takes the files and prepares to make a quick getaway, but not before leaving his signature calling card. Unfortunately, our smooth escape gets interrupted by Inspector Carmelita Matoya Fox.
You foolish raccoon! I've caught you red-handed.
Ah, Carmelita.
I haven't seen you since I gave you the slip in Bombay.
I'm sorry, am I sensing some history here?
She will be appearing throughout the adventure trying to apprehend Sly, and her tactics for doing so may seem a little heavy-handed as she begins firing upon us. Apparently this is just a paralyzing pistol though. No, it actually is. We just need to jump over the patrol cars to make it to the van where Bentley and Murray are waiting for us. And that is the end of the prologue. It does a great job of introducing the basics of the gameplay in an entertaining way. Yes, it does suffer a bit with telling not showing when teaching the mechanics, but these segments are short and are followed up with plenty of gameplay to drill in what has been taught. Sly was born into a lineage of master thieves, the Coopers. Coopers steal only from those undeserving of what they possess, due to underhanded dealings or more sinister arrangements. A pervasive code of honor binds each Cooper, as the general ethos of a Cooper heist is to deprive the real criminals of their possessions. There is no honor, no challenge, no fun in stealing from ordinary people. And also it's more child friendly.
Think of the children.
Gotta get that E rating. At the age of 8, he was to follow in their footsteps and inherit their legacy, a book called the Thievius Raccoonus. On the night Sly was to inherit the book, a mysterious gang of criminals known as the Fiendish Five infiltrated the Cooper home. Try as he might, Connor failed to defend himself, his wife and his son from the gang, resulting in the death of both parents. The Fiendish Five ransacked the house in search of the Thievius Raccoonus as Sly watched helplessly from the closet. Once the villains found the book, they tore it into 5 parts before leaving. Sly, now an orphan, was placed in an orphanage, where he met his now lifelong friends Bentley and Murray. Together they formed the Cooper Gang. 10 years after the Fiendish Five stole the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly and the gang embark on a quest to steal back his inheritance and avenge his parents' deaths. The first Fiendish Five we will be going after is Sir Rowley the Frog. Bored with a life of wealth and privilege, he developed an interest in piracy. It was then that Rowley's criminal mind began to blossom. His skill in building machines led him to his recruitment as the chief machinist of the Fiendish Five. After the attack on Connor Cooper's home, Rowley escaped with the notes of Ryoichi Cooper. Eventually, he had established himself near the Isles of Wrath and constructed a blimp-like storm machine that perpetually generated harsh rain and winds. He utilized the storm machine to sink passing ships, which he could then plunder loot from.
Sly Cooper in Tide of Terror!
Sly must sneak into the villain's hideout at the start of each episode. After completing this level, we will enter a type of hub world. The hub world is divided into 2 distinct portions. The first part of the hub contains access points to around half of the levels in the hub area. After completing a set number of levels, the second section of the hub world is opened. These huge green warp gates mark the access points to a level. They aren't actually warp gates though, but rather holograms that Bentley is projecting to assist Sly in navigating the hideouts. The standard level layouts are a linear route that you must platform your way through to reach a key. You will be returned to the hub world area as soon as Sly smashes open the capsule containing the key. In terms of layout, the levels are similar to those in Crash Bandicoot. Sly's levels, on the other hand, are far more vertical and geared towards exploration, since there are hidden clue bottles throughout the levels. It's also worth noting that this game's camera performs impressively well for an early 3D platformer. The linear aspect of the level design allows the camera to do things like automatically pan around to show you where you're going next. The camera can be manually shifted to left or right. To be honest, I never realised that you couldn't adjust the camera up or down, because you never need to. The camera does an excellent job of following the action. Collecting the clue bottles is optional, but if you locate all of them inside a level, Bentley will be able to decipher the clues and provide you with a code to enter the safe. They usually contain pages ripped from the Thievius Raccoonus. Sly will learn new techniques from these pages. Some are significantly more useful than others. One of the first thief techniques you can acquire is the roll, which is quite useful for moving around a level quickly. Then there is the slow motion jump, which serves no purpose other than to look cool, I guess.
Matrix!
Sly must be in mid-air before it can be activated. I think it's supposed to be used to help you correct jumps, but it's not worth having it equipped for that. You can only equip one thief technique at a time. and you can simply switch between them by pressing the R2 and L2 triggers. Every episode will include one save that contains the blueprints for the levels, when using the Binocucom, which are like high-tech binoculars. It will highlight breakable objects as well as clue bottles, making them easier to find. I really enjoy exploring the levels looking for these clue bottles. They aren't particularly well hidden, but it can be frustrating to find the last one you missed. While the rewards for finding them all aren't always great, the act of finding them all in a level is satisfying. And if you don't want to collect them, you don't have to. It's completely optional, if you don't care about 100%ing the game. Sir Raleigh's hideout has 7 levels in total. There are 4 levels in the first section of the hub area, with just 3 required to move to the second half of the hub, meaning if you're having trouble with one of the levels, you can skip it and still be able to progress.
This is a lie.
Except not really, because in order to reach Raleigh's blimp, you need 7 keys and there are only 7 levels in the hideout. So you can't really skip levels, the game just tricks you into thinking that you can. Taking all 7 keys to this cannon, Sly will jump in and will be fired up to Raleigh's blimp. Seems safe. So stealthy, just smashes his way through the window.
I hate unexpected guests.
Listen, Raleigh, wipe up my family and steal what's mine? You better expect company.
Raleigh will balloon up and try to crush Sly. A ring of floating platforms surrounds an elevated central platform in the arena. We have to hop around the floating platforms while Raleigh chases us. Raleigh is invincible until he reverts back to his normal size, at which point we must attack him immediately. Because the window for hitting him is so short, you want to be as near to him as possible without being squished. If you miss, Raleigh repeats his attack. If you hit him quickly enough, he will lose some health and go to the next phase of the fight. For the second phase, all the platforms Sly isn't standing on drop into the water. Raleigh will try to crush Sly once more. Simply run in a circle around him till he shrinks and then smack him. In the third phase, every platform Raleigh jumps on sinks, and in the fourth and final phase, every platform except the one Sly is standing on sinks again. Raleigh will jump down, lash out his tongue and start spinning. Simply jump over his tongue and finish him off.
Well, gloat all you want, Sly Cooper. You're no match for Mugshot, my villainous cohort in Utah.
Following Raleigh's defeat, Sly reclaims the Thievius Raccoonus page and begins looting Richie Cooper's ninja-spired jump. Sly flees before Carmelita Fox arrives and arrests Raleigh. Before returning to their hideout to plan their next heist, the Cooper gang takes a little break. Once you've unlocked the episodes, you can access them in the hideout. You can re-watch the cinematics by speaking with Bentley. When you return to an episode where you have already finished levels, you can choose which level to load into by picking it on the map. The hideout will be adorned with treasures stolen from the villains once the episode is completed. It's a fantastic visual detail, and they didn't really need to do it, but they did, and I like it. Mugshot is the second member of the Fiendish Five that we'll be going after. Mugshot is a massive American bulldog. When he was young, larger dogs bullied him because he was the runt. He found comfort in mobster films and admired the fierce, ruthless gangsters. Inspired, he started to work out and lift weights to be like them. He eventually took revenge on his tormentors and became a well-known enforcer and gunman, getting recruited by the Fiendish Five and taking part in the raid that killed Sly's mother and father. Mugshot took Tennessee Kid Cooper's notes on the raccoon rail walk and rail slide from the Thievius Raccoonus. After the Fiendish Five disbanded, he took over Mesa City, Utah, where he built a casino and drove out most of the population.
Sly Cooper in Sunset Snake Eyes.
Platformers live or die on how well characters control and how it feels to control them. And thankfully, Sly delivers on that front. Even though the controls are simple, they feel amazing when traversing through the levels. Sly is an extremely agile individual, quick on his feet and with his cane. Climbing, jumping and swinging come naturally. Because he is so light on his feet, you may be wondering if he feels a bit floaty to control. But I am pleased to report that this is not the case. Sly can land softly from any height and use short hops to remedy any misjudged jumps. Landing on platforms is a breeze thanks to his mid-air controls. The platforming challenges are carefully tailored to Sly's moveset. The great controls make it really easy to get into the rhythm of a level. It's just so satisfying to see Sly maneuver so smoothly through a long platforming section. You really start to feel like a master thief, even if you're just using Sly's basic moveset. Now, Sly is not a stealth game. It is an action platformer, but the stages and enemy placement are designed around making you feel like you're being stealthy without having to actually be stealthy, if that makes sense.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
The game throws a few stealth situations at you, like hiding in a barrel to get past obstacles, avoiding laser beams, spotlights and alarmed floor panels. If you set off the alarm once, the lasers will turn red, and if you set it off again, well... The most challenging aspect of the game is that Sly usually dies after only one hit. Sly will get an extra hit if he picks up a lucky horseshoe. Picking up 2 will transform it into a golden horseshoe, earning him another hit point. Another way to obtain horseshoes is to collect 100 coins. One hit deaths can be a little frustrating in a few of the game's more difficult portions, but having a health meter would have made the game a little bit too easy, I think. You will receive an extra life if you already have a golden horseshoe and collect 100 coins. Yes, Sly 1 does use a life system. There are checkpoints located throughout the levels. If you die, you'll be returned to the checkpoint. If you don't have any lives remaining, you must restart the stage. Lives can also be found by exploring levels, but they look really dumb, in my opinion. It's Sly's decapitated head spinning around. It just looks so out of place. I don't know. I just feel like they could have come up with something less morbid or more morbid. The game gives you plenty of lives, so you most likely won't need to worry about getting a game over. The game is also quite generous with horseshoes too. If you die in a stage enough times, the game will give you one for free.
What do I owe you? Nothing. It's for free. Free?
It is possible to slip past guards without fighting. It's rather simple to sneak up behind guards and dispatch them, so you'll only be noticed if you're not paying attention to your surroundings. Almost all of the enemies in the game can be defeated with a single swing of Sly's cane. It makes no difference where you hit them, but my mindset while playing this game always makes me want to jump behind them and bash them on the back of their skulls. In Mesa City, we play the first level that features Murray, who is by far the least developed character in the Cooper game. For this game anyway. Murray is a bit of a Sly fanboy, which gets him into sticky situations that we must help him out of. In Sly 1, he lacks confidence, but this will change as the series progresses. He doesn't get much development in this game as the first entry is so focused on our primary protagonist Sly. Given the game's short length, this is undoubtedly the right choice. It's also in Mesa City when we once again run into Carmelita Fox. Within these levels, we must make it to the end while Carmelita attempts to shoot us with her paralyzing pistol. Inspector Carmelita Montoya Fox is an Interpol agent who is almost always on the trail of the Cooper gang. Carmelita has a very black and white view on crime, believing that any lawbreaker must be brought to justice. Sly and Carmelita have a bit of a love-hate relationship.
Freeze, Raccoon!
How can I freeze when my heart warms at the very sight of you?
Though in a light-hearted manner.
Shut up, Ringtail!
At least on Sly's part. Not sure about her. The two of them first met while Carmelita was patrolling the roof of the Parisian Opera House and protecting the Diva Diamond, a jewel owned by the opera singer Pachyderma Tuscany. I don't know how to say it. Pachyderma Tuscany. I hope that's right. I don't think that is though. Carmelita discovered Sly staring at a map and looking out over the city. Assuming the worst, she summoned several guards who caught him. He eventually got away and Carmelita was blamed for allowing him to do so. She hurried off in search of the thief, furious that he had made her appear like a fool in front of her boss. Backstage, she looked for any sign of the raccoon. She heard a commotion around the corner while investigating, but when she looked around, there was no one there. On the opera's stage, Pachyderma was I don't think that's right. Pachyderma was wailing over the fact that the Diva Diamond was stolen. Out of nowhere, a man fell from the air above them. He had been tied up, suspended by a rope, and had a paper bag over his head. Carmelita removed the bag to find Paris, the stage manager, with the Diva Diamond around his neck. Carmelita discovered a calling card from Sly inside the bag. Carmelita was then promoted for securing the opera theatre, protecting the Diva Diamond, and apprehending Paris. This would be the first of many occasions that she and Sly would cross paths. Now this backstory is not told within the game, and you don't need to know this context to understand the dynamic between the two characters. I just wanted to include it because I thought it was interesting, and it's my video so I can just add in whatever bullshit I want, okay? Sly's connection with Carmelita reflects how raccoons and foxes occupy the same biological niche in the wild. Sly and Carmelita have similar roles of vigilance, but are not on the same side of the law. There is a clear distinction between the antagonists of the law and the game's true villains. Carmelita is shown as a flawed yet well-meaning character. Sucker Punch seems to have a bit of trouble with how they wanted to portray Carmelita vocally, as she is a different voice actress with every entry, and they all portray the persona in very different ways.
You foolish raccoon! I've caught you red-handed, which reminds me, you need to return the Firestone of India to its rightful owners.
I really don't need any help. Facts! Sly Cooper is right here. I caught him red-handed. Sly Cooper! After him!
Cooper? Grab him, man! You've got some serious nerve showing up in my squad room.
Don't get me wrong, her characterization and motivations remain consistent from game to game. It's just her voice and ethnicity that changes. We can confront Mugshot once we have collected all 7 keys in Mesa City.
What? My boys have been yapping about some big mysterious dude running around cracking skulls and this is it? You're the monkey wrench in my operation? Some scrawny rat with a stick! Hey, wait a second. I seen that stick before.
Maybe when my father knocked your block off with it.
Your father? Wow! You're a Cooper? You know, that Thievius Raccoonus had a lot of nice pictures, but way too many big words.
So you don't mind just handing it over?
What, are you kidding? You break into my place, steal my stuff, trash the joint. I feel transgressed and violated. Let's rock!
The boss fight is quite simple. You don't even need to hit Mugshot once. Mirrors are strategically positioned throughout the room. Hitting the mirrors will cause them to spin around and reflect light onto the crystal. When all the mirrors are orientated correctly, the light's heat will burn Mugshot and destroy his pistols. Mugshot will try to shoot at us during the fight, but all you have to do is jump over the bullets. I genuinely do not understand the mirror motif. Like, why does Mugshot have a room in his casino filled with mirrors? Perhaps it stems from his introduction animation in which he posed in front of a mirror? I don't know. Anyway, there are multiple phases to this fight, but they all amount to the same thing, but with different arena layouts.
This is impossible! A little pipsqueak like you, beating a big, strong bruiser like me? It ain't right! You want all of that stupid picture book? You're gonna have to go down to Haiti and cross paths with Miss Ruby. And then believe you me, you don't want to be you.
Sly receives yet another page of the Thievius Raccoonus after delivering the final blow to Mugshot. Mugshot's section of the Thievius Raccoonus contained an entry from Sly's gunslinging ancestor, Tennessee Kid Cooper, whose speciality was the rail walk and rail slide, which he perfected during his long time of thievery in the Old West. Carmelita Fox went ahead and busted Mugshot after missing Sly yet again. Mugshot's gambling empire had come to an end, and the people of Mesa City had returned home. Sly and the gang spent the rest of their time in America before returning to Paris, ready to take on their next foe. Miss Ruby, the Haitian alligator voodoo guru, comes from a long line of voodoo doctors. Feared for her abilities from a young age, she found refuge in the company of the dead. A bitterness sprang out from her childhood isolation. Miss Ruby honed her skills until Clockwork hired her as the Fiendish Five's mystic specialist. She was a participant in the invasion of the Cooper home and stole Sly Cooper's notes on invisibility from the Thievius Raccoonus. After that, she struck out on her own, with the intention of using her magic to get revenge on the world for fearing her as a child. She intends to gather remains in order to raise a zombie army to conquer Mexico.
Sly Cooper in Vicious Voodoo.
When we arrive in the jungle of Haiti, we must find our way into Miss Ruby's lair. There are minigame stages in addition to the conventional platforming stages. These are utilised to offer some diversity to the gameplay.
Which was the style at the time?
There are a few different ones, but most of them require Sly operating some sort of vehicle or manning a turret. The vehicle minigames mostly use the same control scheme. They are primarily twin-stick shooter segments with various objectives. This episode contains both the worst and best of them. We must run into piranhas to fuel our flamethrower and ignite all of the torches within a time limit. Yes, it's strange, and yes, it's a pain to play. It's not the controls that are annoying. These minigames all control fairly well. It's capturing the piranhas that is a pain.
Why are you running?
For the other minigame, we must shoot our way through a graveyard. I actually quite enjoy this one. I think it's mostly down to the theming of the level though. My favourite enemies in the game have always been the rat ghost and this Cubone looking guy who throws his head at you. That's the best. I love it when people throw their heads at me. The turret minigames are straightforward. You'll be protecting another character, usually Murray, to collect a key. You must use the turret to shoot the enemies before they attack your team member. Just like Sly, they can only be hit once before they die, unless they have a lucky horseshoe. The main issue I have with these segments is that the camera movement can be very disorientating, and the turret controls are inverted.
Which was the style at the time?
The races, on the other hand, are my least favourite aspects of the game. To win a key, you must race around a track as Murray and complete 3 laps in first place. The controls for the van are far too bouncy and lack weight. You can get nitro cans for a small boost, and I mean very small. Fortunately, there are only 2 of these in the game, and strangely the second one is way easier than the first one. The second one has ice all over the track, and the AI just can't handle it. They just end up spinning out and crashing. Most of the minigames are fine, but that's it. They're just fine. The worst part about them is that they take the place of the game's strongest feature, traditional platforming stages. This game leaves me wanting more. I want more platforming levels. Each platforming level has time trials that can be started by picking up the hourglass.
It's a race! It's a race! I'm winning! I'm winning!
These have stringent time constraints and are only available after collecting the key and all of the hidden clues in a level. They are required if you want to get 100%. So whether or not you enjoy the core gameplay will determine whether or not completing the time trials is worthwhile. The aesthetics are one of the most noticeable aspects of this game. This game's design has a superb sense of style, which is represented in everything from the animations to the character designs and environments. The cel shading approach has allowed this game to age exceptionally well. Despite my reservations about the HD collection, I can't deny how amazing it looks. All of the characters pop out from the backgrounds, thanks to the toon outline placed around them. Sly is heavily influenced by cartoons, although not necessarily in a juvenile way. The game masterfully walks the line between childish and mature, never crossing too far or too frequently. With the inclusion of certain animals and character designs, it is quite easy to discern what a character is about with a quick glance. Animals are frequently used as caricatures of human traits, and the game takes full advantage of this. Just looking at Sly and the way that he moves, you just get it. You know, Sly himself provides narration at the start of each episode, detailing his next scheme to recover a page of the Thievius Raccoonus. These little cutscenes have a great sense of style, but they're a little rough around the edges. While they are entertaining, they lack polish and are not as refined as those seen in the sequels. Some of the characters look very off-model. Sly, for example, wears blue gloves and boots in the game, but yellow gloves and black boots in the 2D animations. The in-game cutscenes are one of the game's least appealing parts. The lighting is just too dim and Sly's model appears to be worse than the one utilised during gameplay. However, most of the voice cast is excellent, particularly Kevin Miller as the titular Sly Cooper. The game's audio is quite good, the music being the highlight, since the tracks fit the scenarios perfectly and fade in and out depending on what you're doing. Sneaking up behind an enemy triggers a nice sound effect that adds to the action. However, Sly 1 lacks the distinctive soundtrack that has become synonymous with the series, as it was created by a different composer. The sound design is excellent, however, I must point out that the HD collection ruins it in sections. Certain sound effects are simply too loud in some spots. This was not the case in the PS2 version. Speaking of things that the HD collection screws up, let's talk about this episode's boss fight. Inside Miss Ruby's Skull Temple, we confront her.
I could feel that Cooper vibe a-coming. Most distastefully bad juju.
Yeah, well, you give me the creeps too, lady. Cooking up an army of ghosts isn't a very neighborly pastime.
She suggests we play a game of Simon Says to put our reflexes to the test. The rules are simple. We must avoid her voodoo sorcery or face a terrible zap. It is essentially a rhythm game. So if you can maintain the rhythm, you should have no trouble defeating the boss. However, this is made much more difficult in the HD collection because the music is out of sync.
Holy shit! We'll always love you! I can't believe you did this to me! God damn it! How could you do this to me?
So the music that plays to help you keep in rhythm is out of rhythm. I'm not sure how Sanzaru games messed this up so severely. They either knew about the problem but didn't know how to fix it, or they knew about it but didn't think it was important enough to fix. I can't decide which is worse. This is my favourite boss fight in the entire game, but is effectively ruined in the HD version. The best way to do it is to turn down the volume and try to keep rhythm on your own. Trust me, it's way easier that way.
You certainly got some rhythm, Raccoon.
Miss Ruby's section of the Thievius Raccoonus contained an entry from Sly's pioneering ancestor, Sly Cooper, whose invisibility technique allowed him to steal from corrupt pharaohs and greedy noblemen. Carmelita arrives and, instead of apprehending Sly, places cuffs on Miss Ruby. Her creation of the zombies, which was ruled illegal in the World Peace Accord of 71, earned her a life sentence in prison. The Kunlun Mountains in China is home to the renowned Panda King. As a kid, he wanted to join in on the New Year celebrations that the affluent nobles threw, so he brought some fireworks. He approached their wealthy aristocrats one evening in the attempt to sell them his fireworks. They rejected his ragged attire and drove him out. After being publicly shamed, he became infuriated and began using his fireworks to destroy entire towns. Because of this, he is now the Fiendish Five's official demolitions expert. He stole Otto van Cooper's portion of the Thievius Raccoonus during the raid of the Cooper residence.
Sly Cooper in. Fire in the sky.
The plot of Sly 1 is straightforward. Defeat the villains and reclaim the Thievius Raccoonus pages. Sly 1's story, on the other hand, is significantly more compelling. The terms plot and story are sometimes used interchangeably. Although some overlap exists between both terms, nevertheless there are significant distinctions between plot and story. A plot is the sequence of events within a story, a description of what happens and why it happens. A story is a comprehensive narrative. Plot is a component of a story, but so are settings, characters, themes, and other elements that influence how the events are portrayed. Sly 1 is a character-driven narrative, and learning about these characters and what they stand for is one of the game's highlights. Sly Cooper is a difficult character to portray right. He exhibits such arrogance and a casual disdain for safety precautions in so many scenarios that he would be unlikable if not balanced by the great writing of his other personality traits. He presents himself as the stereotypical suave thief, yet his inner monologues reveal a vulnerability that he hides from the public. His path of gradually regaining the Thievius Raccoonus allows his inner monologue to become more confident in his own talents, mirroring his outward cockiness. The stigma of him being a thief may lead you to think that he is a selfish character, but it is shown in many areas of the game that this is not the case. In this level, for example, he is significantly more concerned with helping the people of China than with recovering the Thievius Raccoonus pages. The remainder of the Cooper gang don't see as much attention in this first installment. Bentley is the brain of the operation and has some trepidation while approaching fieldwork, but he doesn't make much change in these areas, at least not in this game. And we've already discussed the Murray. You may have noticed a theme among the villains, and that is their backgrounds and how a lot of their motivations for being villains come from childhood trauma. Mugshot was bullied as a child, Miss Ruby was ostracized, and the Panda King was looked down on. As a result, they've decided to vent their wrath on the world through criminal means. Sorelli is kind of an outlier in this sense, more of a spoiled brat who believes he is entitled to take whatever he wants. Despite his history, Sly, who literally saw his parents slaughtered in front of him and was then dumped into an orphanage, chose to rise above it. We sometimes witness him sympathizing with the villains even when they want to kill him, since he realizes how easy it is to be consumed by hatred. This concept can also be seen in Carmelita's character. Carmelita is a cop who also happens to be a fox. Foxes have been depicted as crafty tricksters and liars in numerous cultures. Despite this, she chooses to respect and defend the law, although I'm not sure how deliberate this is. The themes of the levels that we play through encompass the villainous characters we come up against. This isn't just the ice level, jungle level or desert level. These are the hideouts of the Fiendish Fives, and we are the intruder. We can hear them speaking to their minions over the intercoms, and the coins we find bear their insignias. The decor featured throughout the levels is all reflective of whoever's hideout we're in. The attention to detail is superb. It's all very well crafted and adds to the character development laid forth in the episode intros. A hero is only as good as their villain, and this game delivers on both counts. As with the previous episodes, we can face the boss once we have acquired all of the keys.
I see you carry Kane of notorious Cooper thief clan. Have you come here for revenge? To steal back the Thievius Raccoonus?
That was my plan at first, but now I'm more interested in putting an end to your avalanche extortion racket.
Why should you care if I bury a few worthless village in snow? You are a thief, just like me.
No, that's only half right. I am a thief from a long line of master thieves, while you're just a frustrated firework artist turned homicidal pyromaniac.
The Panda King is the easiest boss in the game. All you have to do is go up to him, evade his fireballs, and then start beating him with the cane repeatedly. He'll try to hit back, but his attacks are so telegraphed that they're easy to avoid. When a certain health threshold is reached, the Panda King knocks Sly back, and the cycle begins again. Actually, one time Sly got hit back and ended up hitting one of the lanterns on the ceiling, meaning I could go right back to attacking him. Among my numerous playthroughs of this game, this is the first time something like this has ever happened. After retrieving the Panda King section of the Thievius Raccoonus, Sly was able to learn about his technically minded ancestor Otto van Cooper. Otto, who was not recognised for his physical prowess, relied on vehicles to help him in his illegal activities. Sly was certain that Murray would be able to create some cool changes to the Cooper van with this designs. After failing to apprehend Sly, Inspector Carmelita Fox imprisoned the Panda King. This effectively ended his ambulance rescue service and assured the safety of the mountain villages across China. After taking a break in Hong Kong, the gang returned home to plan their next move. The gang headed to Russia's Krasnokrov volcano to confront Clockwork. Along the way, while looking at what little information he had on Clockwork, Sly looked over the Thievius Raccoonus pages that had been recovered so far, each depicting a shadowy owl-like figure, which looked very similar to the mysterious Clockwork found in the police images.
Sly Cooper in The Cold Heart of Hate.
The final episode of Sly 1 is a bit disappointing, as it consists mainly of mini-games, but it also contains the best platforming challenge in the game. We must use the van's upgrades to shoot at the obstructions in our path. Yes, I'm terrible at this part. The inverted controls were really messing with me.
Really? That's your excuse?
When we enter the volcano, we are greeted with another mini-game, in which Murray must drive the van around a small area, collecting computers before lava monsters do. We need the computers so that Bentley may analyze the information on them and unlock the security door. We have a battering ram that we could use to knock the lava monsters away, but they will keep spawning. As a kid, I found this minigame really challenging, because I would only focus on collecting the computers as quickly as possible. However, focusing on getting rid of the lava monsters is a superior strategy to tackle this minigame. Entering the control room, which has been heavily fortified with lasers and booby trap tiles, Bentley advises Sly to leave the area, but Sly notices Carmelita locked in the chamber ahead. Sly insists on rescuing her, but Bentley informs him that this is most likely a trap, but Sly is determined to save her. Watching the banter between Sly and Carmelita throughout the game, it wasn't clear whether Sly was being genuine in what he was saying or not, but in this moment it becomes clear that he truly cares for Carmelita. After entering the chamber, it's revealed that Bentley was correct, and it was a trap. Clockwork then appears on the chamber's screens, taunting Sly for his sentimental feelings for Carmelita, and claiming that empathy has always been the Cooper clan's undoing. Bentley acts quickly by hacking furiously to prevent the gas from killing Sly and Carmelita. We witness Bentley's confidence improve as a result of this hacking sequence, which, while slight, represents some character development. The hacking game itself is underwhelming. All we have to do is avoid getting hit while collecting the yellow keys, so basically nothing like real hacking. When successful, the gas is shut off and Sly and Carmelita are able to escape. Carmelita was surprised after escaping the lethal gas chamber as to why Sly did not leave her trapped in Clockwork's clutches, despite the fact that she is his enemy. Sly clarified that despite being on opposing sides of the law, they are not enemies. Carmelita and Sly agreed that Clockwork was the actual enemy and that they should work together to bring him down. So they agree to a temporary truce. A robot falcon swoops down and snatches Sly's cane. Carmelita was able to shoot the falcon, but the cane landed on top of Clockwork's factory.
Wait, I need that cane. It's been in my family for generations.
Don't worry, Ringtail. I'll cover you while you get it back. If you can, make your way to the top of the death ray. I stashed my jetpack there before Clockwork nabbed me.
Now that we're a team and all, I hate to leave your side.
Hold on. This truce is only temporary. Once we beat Clockwork, I'm coming after you.
Really?
Well, maybe I'll give you a 10-second head start.
As Carmelita, we must protect Sly from the lava monsters as he runs to recover his cane. Despite my disappointment with the last episode's emphasis on minigames, it does a great job of giving each of the characters a chance to contribute to the final heist. After Sly recovers his cane, he ventures to the death ray to retrieve Carmelita's jetpack. This is the platforming section I mentioned earlier. It's a race against time as the lava rises. You must complete the traversal not just accurately but also swiftly. Definitely the hardest platforming segment, but also the best. It's a fantastic sequence that leads us to the final boss. The main antagonist and Sly Cooper's arch nemesis, Clockwork, is a massive Russian Eurasian eagle owl. Clockwork, an old enemy of the Coopers, killed Connor Cooper and vowed to wipe out Sly Cooper's family forever. As a result of his fixation, he gradually began to replace his natural body parts with robotic ones, eventually mechanizing his entire frame. When paired with his contempt and hatred for the Cooper clan, this essentially granted him immortality. Clockwork and the Fiendish Five ambushed Connor and killed him 10 years before the events of the first game, with the intention of taking the Thievius Raccoonus. Knowing that Sly existed, Clockwork chose to spare his life in an effort to demonstrate that the Cooper clan is useless without their book. Clockwork is an unsettling villain, his voice and design exuding the hatred expressed by the storyline.
Revenge is the prime ingredient in the fountain of youth. I've kept myself alive for hundreds of years with a steady diet of jealousy and hate, awaiting the day when I would finally eclipse your family's thieving reputation.
The boss fight itself is a bit meh. Using the jetpack to shoot at the weak points revealed by Carmelita, this phase of the fight doesn't really play to the game's strengths. Thankfully, the final phase of the fight does, as it is a hectic platforming section following Clockwork's crash into the lava. Dropping down to confront Clockwork before his auto-reconstruction circuitry kicks in Clockwork's final moments, he tells Sly that he would never be rid of him, and that he is superior. Sly smacks his head with his cane, decapitating him. After some tricky maneuvering, Sly manages to receive Clockwork's piece of the Thievius Raccoonus, but Carmelita catches up to Sly before he can celebrate.
I thought for sure she was gonna slap the handcuffs on me right then and there. But instead, she was true to her word and gave me that 10-second head start. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I felt bad leaving her stranded on that giant rock, but I knew it wouldn't be long before we'd see each other again.
Sly 1 is all about Sly trying to live up to his family's reputation as a line of master thieves. But unlike his ancestors, Sly had to earn the Thievius Raccoonus, making Sly realize that the Thievius Raccoonus does not create great thieves, but great thieves create the Thievius Raccoonus. Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus is a game that is greater than the sum of its parts. The platforming mechanics are extremely fun, and paired with how well Sly controls, the platforming levels are an absolute joy to play through. But there just isn't enough of it. While the mini-games do add variety to the gameplay, they just aren't as fun as the standard levels, leaving me wanting more. Over 2 decades after its release, Sly 1 still looks great, and its emphasis on developing Sly as a character laid the groundwork for the series' progression into increasingly complex narratives.